She ruined everything in one night, and now he was gone forever. It all started with what should have been a simple argument. Just one of those disagreements every couple has. She couldn't even remember now what sparked it, something small, insignificant. But in that moment, it felt bigger than it was. She expected him to apologize, to reach out, to say something that would calm her down. But he didn't. He just stayed silent, refusing to say the words she longed to hear. Anger swelled in her chest like a fire, burning hotter with every passing minute. She felt ignored, unwanted, and dismissed. So she did something she would come to regret more than anything in her life. She left home without telling him. She wanted him to notice her absence, to feel the weight of her silence. She thought he would call within an hour, maybe two, asking where she had gone. But as the hours stretched into the night, her phone remained painfully silent. She paced around, checking her phone constantly, her frustration growing. How could he not care? How could he just let her go like that? The more she thought about it, the more her anger turned into something dark. She wanted to hurt him the way he had hurt her. And then, in that vulnerable moment, she made the worst decision of her life. She called her ex. At first, she just wanted someone to talk to, someone who would listen and make her feel wanted again. He picked up instantly, his voice warm and inviting, like a hand reaching out to pull her from the storm in her heart. One thing led to another, and before she knew it, they were together, tangled in a moment she wished she could erase. Then her phone rang. She reached for it, her heart pounding as she saw his name flashing on the screen. Her boyfriend was calling her. For a moment, she hesitated. She could have ignored it. She could have picked up and lied, told him she was just out clearing her head. But the anger still lingered, feeding off her pain, twisting her emotions. She wanted him to feel the same agony she had felt all day. So she answered. And she made sure he knew exactly what she was doing. "I'm safe," she whispered, her voice breathless. "And I'm being fucked safely." The silence that followed was suffocating. She could hear his breathing on the other end, slow and controlled. For a brief second, she thought he would explode, that he would yell, curse, demand an explanation. But he didn't. His voice was eerily calm when he finally spoke. "I just wanted to make sure you were safe," he said. "If you are, then that's great." Then he hung up. The moment the call ended, reality crashed down on her like a collapsing building. The weight of her actions, the irreversible damage she had done, it suffocated her. The satisfaction she had expected to feel never came. Instead, she was hollow, empty, drowning in regret. She wanted to call him back, to tell him it was a mistake, that she hadn't meant to hurt him this way. But when she tried, he didn't answer. An hour later, he called her instead. She picked up, her hands shaking, her mind racing with what to say. But when she heard his voice, calm and distant, her courage failed her. She couldn't bring herself to apologize, to admit what she had done was wrong. Instead, she asked, "Are you home?" "Yes," he said simply. "Okay. Good night." "Good night." She hung up and stared at her phone, wishing she could rewind time. She wanted to rush home, to throw herself at his feet and beg for forgiveness. But fear kept her frozen in place. What if he was too angry to even look at her? What if this was the end? Morning came, and she finally gathered the courage to go back. She took a boulder straight to their house, her heart pounding the entire ride. As she stepped into the compound, an eerie silence greeted her. Something felt off. When she unlocked the door and stepped inside, her breath caught in her throat. The house was empty. Completely empty. Everything was gone. The furniture, the decorations, the appliances, everything that had made this place their home. Even her clothes, the ones he had bought for her, were missing. The toothbrushes in the bathroom were gone too. The only things left were a few of her old clothes and some panties in the corner. Panic surged through her as she grabbed her phone and called him. It rang once before the call was cut off. When she tried again, she was blocked. That's when she saw the message he had left her on WhatsApp. If you're truly pregnant, and that's my kid, the best solution for both of us is to abort before it's too late. She stared at the words, her body trembling. It felt like the ground beneath her had disappeared, leaving her in free fall. She had lost him. The man she loved more than anything in this world had walked away, and she had no one to blame but herself. She collapsed onto the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. How had it come to this? How had one argument spiraled into something so destructive? She tried calling again and again, using different numbers, but each time she was blocked. He didn't want to hear her voice. He didn't want anything to do with her anymore. And she couldn't blame him. She loved him. She still did. But love wasn't enough to undo what she had done. She had shattered something between them, something that could never be repaired. Now, all she could do was sit in the empty shell of what used to be their home, drowning in her own regret, wishing she had made different choices. But it was too late. And he was gone. If you love scary African tales and African real-life stories, subscribe for more.